They want to protect tax cuts on yachts and private jets and make single moms pay for it. And that's where we say no. And the time is now to ask the Republican caucus why they are valuing billionaires over veterans and single mothers.
That is a great question. Actually, I would love to hear Kevin McCarthy and other senior Republicans ask that. AOC there with others in the Congressional Progressive Caucus pointing out that the ongoing negotiations to try to avert the apparent complete collapse of our economy over the debt ceiling, not going well, because in addition to not giving progressives or even just centrist Democrats anything other than just not defaulting on the nation's debts, at the same time, they are very much doubling down on the sorts of policies that AOC talks about there. In fact, we found out that they're planning to unveil yet more tax cuts in 2 weeks after the debt limit passes. So we might be in the wake of economic destruction when they announce that they're going to be giving away trillions more dollars. And I want to just briefly give you an idea of what their plan is. And as you hear this, I want you to think, is this the sort of thing that sounds like it's designed to help people like me and my family? So what they're going to do, it'll include a full restoration of research and development deductions, full bonus depreciation, removing caps on business interest expensing, and a doubling of the 1.08 million limitation on the Section 179 deduction, which, like bonus depreciation, I read, allows a company to deduct an asset's cost up front. That sounds like great stuff for people with corporations, probably not regular people. By the way, Representative Vern Buchanan, Republican of Florida, of all places, his legislation is aimed at making the 2017 Trump GOP tax cuts for individuals and some businesses permanent. They're likely to include that. It has 100 Republican co-sponsors, and oh, what do you know? Vern Buchanan would personally benefit economically from this. He's hardly the only one. All of the millionaires amongst the Republicans would benefit from it too. And the tax cuts that they want to make permanent, Maz, would add 2.5 trillion more to the deficit over the next decade. That's not counting the couple of $1 trillion that the initial passage of those tax cuts blew a hole in our deficit and was inevitably added to the national debt. And so at the same time that they're calling for cuts to basically every social program that you can think of, they're planning to roll out trillions more in tax cuts for corporations and the uber wealthy. What do you think?
First of all, the name Vern is a funny name. I don't know if you remember.
It's old school.
Yeah, you're too young. There used to be a commercial. The guy go, "Hey Vern," and then I forget that. Then I don't even remember what the commercial was for. But
Maz,
anyway,
I watched those movies growing up.
Oh, there you go, Vern. There you go,
Ernest.
So as everyone knows, this is not about fiscal responsibility. I mean, the best thing that someone explained that really explains this whole debt ceiling is that these are already things that we've agreed. The Congress, from Republicans and Democrats, have agreed to put into the budget and pay for. Now we're trying to raise the debt ceiling to borrow and pay for them. So these are already programs that have been approved. And now on the back end, they're coming back and going, well, if you guys want to do to get the debt ceiling up, you're gonna have to cut back on some of the stuff that you guys have approved. And of course, the things that the Democrats have approved are, things that are beneficial to a lower income American versus what the Republicans want. So that's a very good way to explain that this is not a thing where they're trying to, the Democrats aren't trying to bring in a new program. They're trying to say we need to continue to help people that need help. And this country in general, I mean, if you look at the taxes we used to pay 30, 40 years ago versus what we're paying now, I mean, it's just gotten less and less and less. And listen, clearly everybody, I'd love to pay less taxes, but I know that there's things that we need to improve. So I can't drive around Los Angeles and go, look at all these problems, and by the way, lower my taxes because and solve these problems. So it's all very hypocritical. And this is, it really is, it's like a hostage situation where they're trying to keep these programs hostage. They're saying, okay, you need to, they do want to, they said it, that they'd wanted to look at getting rid of Medicare, Medicaid, all of these things that people need. Not everyone is a millionaire entrepreneur. There's a lot of people in our society that need a hand to get. Well, what about helping with education? What about giving people a break in education? What about improving other ways of improving the lower and middle classes. And you know, I don't understand anybody who supports the Republicans and then suffer under them. You know, that's what, and a lot of it is because that's why they go to the culture wars, right? They say, oh, there's drag queen storybook hour at the schools, so let's, you know, vote for us. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to take away your benefits. So it's I don't know. I don't get it. And yeah. I think we really got to keep driving home the point that these programs have already been approved. Everything has been approved. We're just trying to pay for it. And these guys are trying to hold that hostage.
Yeah, and remind people too that the fight we're having right now is, as you say, just maintaining the programs that are desperately needed when we should be talking about expanding them. I don't think there's a lot of regular people, even just regular conservatives, that are thinking like, yeah, that little bit of aid that I get so that my kids can eat and I can afford whatever needs to be cut. It is just they are very successfully distracted. Like you say, you know, why not invest in these programs that affect, you know, like people who are poor? Well, because very few billionaires are poor. So they've chosen, like they believe that we can distribute the money to one of two things, or even we can sort of do an end run around that. Let's just not distribute so much money and then we can just keep it with the rich. Like the choice is very clear. And we have this fight every year in America. This is always what the debate has been. Do we use the money to benefit regular people, or do we just allow the rich to hoard more pointless wealth that they'll never be able to spend? That is just zeros on a bank account that will have no effect on their life. And the question always is, which will win? The distraction or the people paying attention? And so they've been very successful with some of their demonization of like the LGBTQ community. We'll be talking about that in just a little bit. But that is their best bet, always, perpetually in American politics, to maintain the economic status quo.
And a lot of these people, John, don't come to this realization until it affects them, until their father or mother is old and needs these benefits, and then they go, oh, these benefits aren't available. Or like you see, like when Jon Stewart is advocating for veterans and going, you guys sit here and rah the soldiers until they come back, and then you don't give them their benefits or you don't take care of them the way you promised to. And a lot of these veterans are people who are hardcore supporters of the Republican Party, and then they come to find out that the Republican Party has been voting against their interests. So the wake up call comes, it just comes too late. It's after they've voted these people in.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.